So I'll go over the chapter 5, personality and values. And the learning objectives for today describe what is personality, the way it is measured, and maybe discuss why is it important that we understand our personalities and we understand personalities or of our friends, of our co-workers, or people that we interact on a daily basis. Why is it that we need to understand how personalities are formed and what kind of impact it has, personality traits and different personalities, how do they fit into different jobs. So this is a very important chapter, I believe, because we're just very interested in seeing that we have the right person with the right personality doing the right job. That's a key thing, because some personalities are, they're better off, their performance is definitely better in doing certain jobs. Some personalities, say someone like me, i'm not I'm not a very social person. I don't interact that easily. I don't make friends very fast. So somebody like me, perhaps you put me in marketing or sales, perhaps I'm going to struggle. I might do a decent job, but I'll definitely not be your star performer. So you might want to look at something, for Prabhakar, that he can stay at home or stay in the office and do something creative, work with some strategies, do some planning for you, or create reports, report progress, that kind of stuff, attention to detail. That's the type of person I am. And the more you recognize you're my boss and you know that I'm this kind of person, I think you'll do the organization some good by putting me in jobs where I have a chance to succeed rather than I'll struggle. Then we go off to this particular, framework called the Myers and Briggs Type Indicator. I'm sure several of you must be knowing this MBTI. You must have taken this test, so you must be very familiar with that. And then, in continuation with discussing that framework, we can also discuss the Big Five model. That's an important framework again to understand our own personalities and personalities that we interact at the workplace. And then an important concept of core self-evaluation. All of us have to do that at some point of time. We are maybe every day, every week, every 3 months or 6 months once. We need to be evaluating how we are as individuals, and that's I think it progressively takes you to that point where you monitor your progress, your skill sets, the way you're reacting to people, and how acceptable are you, and how easy it is to work with you. So core self-evaluation, I guess, is it's something that's very important for us to do. And if we are not doing it, maybe we want to start doing it. Or if we are already doing it, perhaps we should do it more. And self-monitoring, you don't have to be critical of yourself, but always monitoring how you are as a person is not a bad thing to do. Like the way you look in the mirror to get ready to, go to office. It's always nice to look at the kind of person you are. And it's not necessary we all have to be perfect. There's nothing like perfection in personality, but always we have a chance to improve because our personalities are evolving. We start off with a personality when we are little kids, and then when we grow, we learn from people around us, from our parents, from societies, from teachers, from plenty of things. And personality evolves. We are born with certain personality traits or characteristics, and then we evolve and we become stronger, more social, more confident, more outgoing, more responsible. These are all important things that we begin to learn. It's not necessary all of us are born with a very charismatic personality and we're born leaders or something like that. So core self-evaluation, self-monitoring, and proactive personality types, they're the ones who really are admired in society, and they have a very good chance of being successful and also inspiring others to succeed. So these are certain learning objectives. We have a lot today. Describe how situation affects whether personality predicts behavior. That's an important thing. Understanding personality gets you prepared. Suppose I'm dealing with certain personalities. My preparation for today's meeting might be a little different. I know exactly how to put my viewpoints across because I know I'm dealing with certain personality types. I have a strategy in place, not necessarily that I'm being manipulative, but at least I'm prepared, mentally, and I know how to react if somebody, overreacts to a particular thing because I understand personalities and I respect personalities. It's not necessary everybody has to be like me because the world will get boring that way. We need to appreciate each of the personality types that we meet at work, at home, in society, wherever we, gather together, wherever we have a communion, we need to understand that personalities are different and we respect and appreciate those personality types. Contrast terminal and instrumental values. This is, I think, very important. Like for the fact that values govern the type of people we are, the type of work that we do. Values also determine how organizations think about themselves. And values drive what we do on a daily basis, whether it's at workplace or as human beings or as integral members of a society or a community. I think values drive us. So, what are terminal values? What is that value that you strive to achieve as a goal? And what are instrumental values? What do I do every day? That actually gets me closer to those terminal values. If I value, say, freedom, am I responsible? That's an instrumental value. I hope you understand. All of us want to be free and independent, right? That's a terminal value. Who doesn't want freedom and who doesn't want to be independent and who doesn't want to be respected? If those are terminal values, instrumental values, am I responsible? Do I have the characteristics of being conscientious? Am I somebody whom you can trust, who can be depended on for getting a task done? Can you trust me for doing a quality work? If the answer is yes, I think because I'm industrious, I'm responsible, I work hard, I'm diligent in the way I approach things. I respect people. I respect my work. I respect others' time. So all these are instrumental values for getting me that kind of recognition, respect, say freedom, independence. All those are terminal values. So I will discuss a little bit about that. Then describe the differences between person job fit and the person organization fit. As I was saying in the last slide, it's important for organizations to find the right job for the right person, not just in terms of skills and credentials and qualifications and experience. Those are important, but also very important to find the right personality and then the job fit, basically. I've always believed that professors, PhD is important, research is important, experience is important, knowledge of the subject is important. But beyond that, I think every professor is a mentor, is a guide, is a philosopher, is a nice friend, and whom you can actually approach and get help. And they're supportive of your career and your academic progress. So I think these personality traits are important for everyone, but they're more important for a professor because we're dealing with people's careers and their futures. So we want to make as many positive, impacts on the students that we interact on a daily basis. It's just not the PhD and then the research. All those great things are great, but if you don't have the right personality as a teacher, I think all those great things are no longer great. So and that's why we need to look at the person job fit. And the last learning objective for today's class or this chapter is compare Hofstede's five value dimensions with the globe framework, which is Hofstede's work was a little old, is a little old, but still very valid. The way he looked at cultural dimensions of different countries and what makes people behave the way they do. Globe framework is a more recent study, but it also drives in from Hofstede's work. So that's another objective for today's chapter. Now, these slides are very important after the introduction that I gave. I think these are important, but very simple. I've already touched on some of these. Personality is a dynamic concept describing how we grow and develop as a human being and how we are, both, physical personality as much as psychological personality. There are some people, I'm sure you would share your experiences when you come in contact with such people. You just have this sense of awe and you have this sense of respect, and you know that these are the people who inspire you for what they are and how they carry themselves. Maybe it's humility, it's their humility in spite of whatever they have achieved in life. They're extremely humble, they're very grounded people. That actually is very striking, and it inspires you. It says like, wow, this person has achieved so much, but still they're very grounded, very down to earth, and very humble as well. So maybe you want to share your experiences where you look at the person and how they've grown from in stature in their contribution, and then they carry themselves with a great sense of poise and calmness and dignity. You want to share something? Inspiring personalities that you met in your life, you saw, or you had a chance to interact? I don't know. Simple questions, but tough questions, apparently, right? Yeah, but yeah, I was fortunate enough to grow in a environment in a school setting where we had an opportunity to meet people and observe people who were very, very, very accomplished in their own field. It could be music, theater, art, science, academics, and then different medical profession, engineering. We were so fortunate as kids growing up that we could see people of great stature and accomplishments on a daily basis, and everyone was an inspiration because of all the great things that we heard about their accomplishments. When you actually met them, they were like you and me. They were very simple, very approachable, very caring, and very affable. I mean, these are personality traits which actually make those accomplishments even more meaningful. So the sum total of ways in which an individual reacts and interacts with others, I think that's the key. Say somebody who has achieved a lot but is not approachable, is not warm, is not welcoming, doesn't is not accommodating. I don't think that personality will continue to inspire you once you talk to them. But if, on the other hand, they're very approachable, they're willing to help and offer assistance, support you in your own journey and progress. I mean, these are the people who actually are inspiring. And you say, wow, we've heard so many great things about them, but when we had a chance to talk to them, it simply reinforces that great feelings about them. So that's personality. And then we can go off measuring personality. So, as managers at the workplace, it might be important for us to see what kind of people are we dealing with, what kind of personalities we have. And there should be a way that we measure personality. We cannot be 100% sure because we are actually measuring people here and their personalities. They're not like, say, acceleration due to gravity. The small g value is 9.8 meters per second square. I mean, that's acceleration due to gravity of the Earth, and it's pretty much same, plus or minus a little because it depends on altitude. But people are pretty unpredictable, and you cannot 100% be sure that you understand somebody's personality. But it's important that we try, and as managers, because you hire somebody who is extraordinary in terms of credentials, but he's got a terrible personality. He's not approachable. He doesn't work in teams. He's not, you know, somebody whom you can depend on, who is not trustworthy. You're done. You just made a bad decision to hire someone like that. So hiring decisions depend. That's what it says here. Hiring decisions depend on just not the skills and experience and qualifications, but also on making sure you have the right person in terms of personality and the job that they are supposed to be doing. The most common means of measuring personality is through self report surveys. No, I'm not a big fan of that because if you ask me about my personality, I'll tell you all the good things. Am I going to tell you about the wrong side, the flip side of me? I probably will not. But you can use that. Describe personality, the way it is measured, personality determinants. What makes your personality? Definitely, there are elements of heredity. You have inherited a lot of genes and personality traits from your parents, maybe even from your grandparents, because these genes and chromosomes they're passing on from one generation to another generation. I'm sure there must be people in your home who said, the way you do things, it reminds us of your grandpa or your grandma. It's just not your father and mother that you resemble. You perhaps are resembling your own grandparents in some way. The way you look, the way you behave, the way you react to certain situations, the way you approach life, perhaps it's not just about your dad and mom, but even sometimes your grandparents. So that's what we call as heredity. So certain personality traits that we inherit from our parents, and they're very strong. Like suppose I can tell about myself, I'm a shy person. Perhaps that stems from the fact my mom is pretty shy. She doesn't socialize that fast, and she doesn't make friends very quickly. I think I inherited that from her. I don't blame her. But then over a period of time, I began to realize being shy takes me nowhere. I need to overcome being very shy, and I learned a bit about how to be interactive, communicate a bit more, and try and make those first contacts, breaking the ice, and making conversations, because it's important. Otherwise, nobody will ever notice you. I realize being too shy is not really helpful at the workplace, at least. Yeah. So, do you want to share your thoughts about personality traits that you've inherited since childhood from your parents, from your grandparents, and those personality traits have stuck with you? And sometimes they're good for you. Sometimes you begin to realize you're changing over a period of time, and that's also good for you. Anything?
To, to be honest, I kind of noticed the same thing with me in that my parents and grandparents were kind of introverted in a way.
Mhm.
So as a young person, I've actually had to overcome much of the same things.
Mhm. That's interesting. I'm happy to hear that actually. I keep thinking I'm one of an exception that, I find myself a bit shy, but happy to hear that, Chris. And you no longer come across as being shy. You look somebody who's confident, assured, who wants to talk and get into a conversation. That means you worked on your personality in ways that help you do better at the workplace and get you the recognition that you want to, right?
Yeah, that's definitely it. Like as someone who was in Boy Scouts as a young person,
Hmm.
that really helped me out.
Okay. I think you just lost the slides, right?
Yeah, now I see everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah, same.
I'll just stop sharing. It's weird, but yeah, just give me a second. Yeah. So we just talked about these, heredity that we inherit from our parents and from, our grandparents, and sometimes we have to work through them. Some of the traits that we inherit from them are really good. Like sometimes people, have this charming personalities. I'm sure they didn't do anything to look so charming, but they just got it from their parents, and lucky them if they are that way. So then we go back to this question. Early research tried to identify and label enduring personality characteristics, stuff that you generally tend to keep for a long time. They thought this is the best way of defining personalities. And those terms, those characteristics or traits, some of the examples are here in the slide: shy, aggressive, submissive, lazy, ambitious, loyal, and timid. I mean, this is a way of labeling people, but not necessarily we remain always shy or always aggressive or always lazy. We people, we are smart and we're responsible. We evolve. So this way of looking at and measuring personality and saying, oh, this person has remained shy all his life, so he's got to be somebody whom we can call shy, is not a real good way of approaching of how we measure personalities. So these are personality traits. We cannot deny the fact that some of them define us and some of the characteristics we also have in our lives, but we can always change. And that's why we come to this particular framework called the Myers and Briggs type indicator. Now, here are a broad, this is a spectrum. It's like a continuum. You're not on the extremes. You could be anywhere in between, from being extroverted or the other extreme being introverted. You could be somewhere in between. It's like a continuum that you have. It's like a scale. So I could be possibly when I was, a little kid, I could have been extremely introverted and shy. I moved towards being less introverted. Then I moved little being, you know, even lesser introverted. And then I'm, somewhere in between towards being extroverted. It could happen, and probably I'm not aware, but the fact that I'm talking to students, I'm talking to new set of students every class, I'm interacting with people in the industry, and perhaps I have this sense of assuredness. My skill levels have increased, my ability to communicate has become better, and my credentials make me more confident. So I don't have more reasons to be, continue to be shy. I have more reasons why I should talk, I should participate because I'm appreciated, I'm recognized for my work. So why not I should just stay shy? Why should I do that? I can talk as much. So I could move from being extremely introverted to moving towards being extroverted. That's possible. And the Myers and Briggs type indicator is talking about which of these characters is a dominant characteristic. And say 7 out of the 10 situations, If you're introverted, yeah, you're introverted. But say in seven of the out of the 10 situations, you're not introverted, you can safely say you're dominated by being extroverted. And extroversion is about socializing, making friends, being aggressive in the approach that you have towards making social contacts and networks. That's being extroverted. So in this class, can somebody tell me if you're more towards being extroverted? I know at least Chris is, say, shy, and me, I've been on the introverted side. We have two examples here. So one person in this class who can say, you make friends fast, you network quickly, and that's really helpful. Anybody in this class?
I don't know. Sometimes it like for me, depending on like my mood, sometimes I'm more introverted and sometimes I'm more like extroverted.
So how many, say, on 10 occasions, how many times are you extroverted? Say six, seven?
Yep, about that.
On the continuum, you're on the extroversion side. So if you're extroverted, I mean, the MBTI is a bunch of questions that you can take. It's available on the internet. So if you
Yeah, I
spend,
think I took that during like my sophomore year, but I forgot my results.
yeah, but if you do, I mean, you can take it again when you have time and you just want to, you
Yeah.
know, look at yourself and how much you must have changed. It'll tell you whether you're extrovert. And if you are, from what you're saying, you might fit into jobs where you need to interact with more people, make contacts, work in networks, work in teams. So find yourself jobs that are related to, those kind of interactive situations. And Jackson, you give yourself a very good chance of doing really well. So
Okay.
yeah, finding a job that fits your personality, that means you enjoy what you do, right? But
Yes.
if you find a job that your personality doesn't fit perfectly there, you're not going to be happy every single day, and you might struggle, and you might say, oh, this is uncomfortable for me. So it's important to assess yourself using the MBTI questionnaire. It's available online for free. You can do the test online. It'll give you whether you're extroverted or introverted. The same is the case with other things that are there on the Myers and Briggs type indicator. You could be intuitive or you could be sensing. Like, for example, would you be a person who, take decisions based on your hunch, based on insights, based on your gut feeling? Then you're more towards being intuitive. I can ask Kervins the same question. Are you intuitive, or are you more towards sensing, looking at everything around you, taking in inputs from your sensory organs, and making clear observations before you take a decisions? Or are you intuitive, more towards leaning towards gut feeling, towards the hunch that you might have? I know this is going to work kind of decisions. What do you do, Kervins?
I I do it based on gut feeling. It depends on the situation. Sometimes I'm like vice versa, but most of the times I do it based on gut feelings, like, instant intuition, like based on like what I know or how I feel towards it. Like, for example, if I was if I was doing, like, let's say, stocks, right? And if I wanted to make some type of profit, I would use based on my gut feeling to feel like, okay, this stock is going to go up, so I would definitely bet on this stock, in which case to see how things goes.
That's interesting. And yeah, again, you might take the MBTI questionnaire to find out how many times out of 10, because MBTI is a list of questions and it actually, describes different situations. So it gives you scores based on how many times you would be intuitive versus how many times or how many situations would you be more towards sensing. So it's not that easy to figure out whether you are more towards intuitive or being towards being sensing. So yeah, we're all, we react differently in different situations. But the MBTI, if you take it online, which again, it's free for free, you can do that and figure out, or do you lean more towards being intuitive? Do you lean more towards being sensing? Thinking versus feeling. If you're going to use your logical brain, being rational all the time, and you're very disconnected from being emotional, and then you're a personality who is on the thinking side. You know the rules, you know the policies, you know the procedures. You know you're actually based on factual data and information. That's thinking. But if you're more lean towards, say, feelings and emotions, the high context kind of way of looking at life and people and things that happen around you, you lean towards feeling. Suppose if there is a student who comes to my office and tells me, sir, I have had a situation in my family, I've had something going on, it's difficult for me to, you know, to be able to attend or to do this on time, I need extra time. I'm not going to ask for a paper. I'm not going to ask for an evidence. That's thinking. But I lean more towards, say, the feeling. This can happen to anyone. I mean, difficult times happen to anyone. So I'll trust you because that's me. I lean more towards feeling. Can somebody give me an example? Or are you more towards the thinking or are you more towards feeling?
Yes, so I am more toward thinking.
Mhm.
I make decisions based on a lot of informations, and I really like to research. Just my personality, yeah.
But what happens if that situation involves people and they're in a difficult situation? Are you still going to be towards thinking and investigating, and or would you just say, okay, the situation demands you to think from your heart and feelings take over, emotions take over? What happens to you?
Yeah, then I will based on my sensing, but that is only for the situation that I don't have the choice to research.
So Trin, I would suggest you do the MBTI, the free version, which is available on internet, and maybe next class tell me whether you are thinking or versus feeling. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, the little I know about Trin, I think you're more towards feeling. That's my gut feeling. So
I
prove prove whether I'm right about your personality assessment or not. Okay. I'm just, I'm just experimenting. I think I'm a good judge of people, not in a way that I'm being evaluative, not that I'm being stereotyping somebody, but I make a very objective assessment. Even if I have a very brief interaction with somebody, I'm really good at it. So prove that I'm wrong. I'll be happy if you say, no, professor, I did the MBTI. I'm more towards thinking. You were wrong. You thought I was more towards feeling. Okay.
Professor, I think you do have a sense of like when you're interacting with me, because I do based on like relationship wise, I do use my sensing more than intuitive, but like
No,
working
I'm,
wise.
I'm talking of thinking versus feeling.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
When I interact with people, I use more think feelings wise, but then when I do my work, I will use thinking more than. But I thought that you was talking about like working and stuff.
Let's see how you take the test and what results you get. I'm seriously interested.
Right.
Yeah, you don't have to tell me everything about how you react to specific situations, but just tell me the scores show that I'm more towards thinking, I'm or more towards feeling. I'll be interested to know your scores. Okay. And then perceiving versus judging. Sometimes in situations where we take the big picture, when we are able to connect dots and we are pretty spontaneous the way we do things, that's what we call as perceiving. And judging is being very specific, being on orderly basis. We do things, we need a structure, and before we make our own evaluations or judgments of certain things, we want orderliness, we want structure. It's not spontaneous. So I don't know how you would want to classify yourself. I'm more of a perceiving person. I as much as I appreciate details and data and information, my decision, I'm able to connect things that don't look obvious. For most people, these connections might not even make sense. They're like, how the hell are you able to connect these things? They don't look that connected, they don't look that interrelated. But I can perceive, I can look at the very subtle connections that are, see, the whole world for me in my perspective is one system, and we are all small subsystems in that big large system. How many of you would agree with that? We're all connected, and we're all affecting each other in good ways, in negative ways, in positive ways. Do you believe that?
Yeah, I would believe that.
Yeah, and in that sense, what we do is just not impacting us, it impacts several people in our own little circle of influence. I'm not saying, we are so big that we can influence the entire planet, not an entire country, not an entire community, but we have that circle of influence. I interact with, say, 49 students in my management 370. Then I interact with another bunch of 30 students in another class. I interact with a lot of faculty and staff. And then I have people whom I've taught in India and in other countries. So my circle of influence is pretty big. So what I do and what I can reach out and help them with has serious ramifications. And what they do in turn has an impact on me. So I'm one person, I can see the connections that don't look obvious. So I can call myself towards being perceiving versus just, going by orderly, structured way of doing things. Now, Chris, I'll ask you this question. So are you perceiving or are you judging? You can do the MBTI to figure that out. I'm not saying this one question and your one answer has to be, you know, put in stone. But you can always check doing the MBTI because it gives you several scenarios, and it's more objective than me asking a question and figuring out what you are.
I would say that that I'm more judging.
Okay. Yeah, and there's no harm in saying you're judging. See, all of us have different personalities, and being judging might help you in several situations to make the right decision. Being perceiving, sometimes you might go wrong because you're just connecting dots, which might not look obvious. You're looking at a larger picture. Sometimes you missed out certain important details, and the devil, they say, is in the details. So perhaps judging, orderliness, structure keeps you better informed and objective in your decisions. So each of these personality types are really valid, and there's nothing like, okay, one is bad, one is good. No, we all are unique and we are special, and we bring to the table those unique set of personality types as much as we bring those unique set of skills and experiences. So we are valuable. The only asset which appreciates over a period of time is human assets. Only human beings, as they get older, their value increases, it doesn't diminish. And all other assets like physical assets, equipment, buildings, machinery, everything depreciates over a period of time. But it's us who are gathering more information. We can interpret our experiences in a different way, and we can pass on our experience, and we can caution people not to make the same mistakes. So it's plenty of appreciation that goes on in human life, and that's the key. You, for the fact that you should continue to read, continue to learn, continue to explore, and continue to ask questions is important, because all these things add value. That means your value over the period of time is increasing. Your salary when you start off your career is way lesser than 10 years later when you have plenty of experience. Then your salary and wages and benefit package is enormous when you 20 years later you're occupying the CEO position or the CFO position. It's because you kept on exploring, you kept on adding value, you skilled yourself, and you added value to yourself. And over a period of time, valuable experience has come to you. So that's why your salary and your benefit package is only increasing. It doesn't diminish. That's the beauty of being a human being, because we are the only creatures, species on the planet that have this ability to interpret, to think beyond, to think outside the box. So please, guys, there's no end to learning, not just in my class. I'm not saying that. You can learn from people, your life experiences, and make everything count. Learning is a permanent change in your own behavior. I cannot say I learned something just because I read something and I got a grade. No. If I learn something and I know how to implement it, I know how to create a positive impact at the workplace, that is learning, because it's changed the way I approach my life. It's changed the way I behave at the workplace. It's changed the way I create impact for others. Okay. So I just wanted to tell you that OB, organizational behavior, is such an important, course. I mean, it's like psychology 101. There's plenty that's coming from there, right? So please enjoy the course as much as I do. I hope you do. Then we go off to the next framework called the Big Five. Another way of looking at personality. And the Big Five are mentioned here. Extroversion, I think we talked plenty of it. Agreeableness, how affable, how social you are, how collegial you are. think that's an important thing, right? You want to be somebody who can be approached at the workplace. Even a rookie, I mean, somebody who's just joined your company should not feel intimidated to approach you. They should be able to come to you, even if you're the boss with 10 years, 15 years of experience, highly credentialed, whatever you come from. I mean, you should have this agreeable personality. That's, I think it's a very important personality trait that helps you succeed at the workplace. Conscientiousness, being somebody who's responsible, trustworthy, dependable, and once a is given to you, we know you will do a great job. We know the quality will be great, because that's what you who you are. You're a conscientious person, basically. I think you need to build that over a period of time. It doesn't come easily. You're not born with having this personality characteristic called conscientiousness, but we learn how to get there. We become more responsible, and the quality of our work speaks for us. When somebody sees your work, they know this guy takes his job passionately, and they do the work really well. And that's where you begin to believe that you have this personality characteristic called as conscientiousness. Emotional stability, I've done this many times over in this Management 370 class, that emotional stability is a key. And Kervins was telling about how much he's been able to, have control over his emotions in a positive way, and utilize his emotions towards, getting the job done, making a positive impact in his workplace. That's an amazing example. Unless you have this emotional stability, you can undo a lot of good work very quickly. It takes a long time to build trust and confidence and acceptance among people around you. It just takes one terrible moment where you have lost it, and you can destroy relationships, you can destroy trust you have built over a period of time. So guys, working on your emotions, and having, you be in charge, whatever emotions, you know that you're not hijacked by your emotions. You're bigger, larger than your emotions. You decide to be happy and calm. That's it. Not Prabhakar, not any XYZ can make you upset, cannot destroy your today. This is your day. I mean, why do you permit Prabhakar to destroy your day? No. So you are in charge of yourself. How many of you have felt like that? By the way, I feel like that almost most of my 365 days. I can easily say maybe 360 days I feel in charge of myself. Maybe 5 days I feel helpless if a close and near and dear one has just passed away or is terminally ill, or if they're very far away, I cannot reach out to them, comfort them. Those are the 5 days I really feel helpless and I'm not in charge. But the remaining 360 days of my life, I feel I'm in charge. I don't let people upset me, not things around me upset me. How much ever goes on to my personal life, I do not feel upset, because pain and pleasure are just like two sides of the coin. You're willing to accept pleasure, be willing to take the pain. That's what I've learned in my life. So, how many of you think that you're in charge of your emotions?
Yeah, I feel it's that way. If I let something else be in charge, then I'm not really living my life. I'm just living somebody else's.
Exactly.
I don't do or feel anything for anyone else's sake, you know, unless if I'm of course helping people, but I shouldn't feel anything for somebody else. It should be for me.
That's good. And when you take charge of your life, you do the right thing. You take time to think of how to decide to do the right thing, and you eventually are more responsible because this is your decision. This is your life, and you're not crediting somebody. You're not blaming somebody. You have, this is what we call in org behavior as internal locus of control. Everything that happens to you stems from you. You're not looking for solutions outside. You're looking for solutions within. What stops you from being the great person that you are is only you. What enables and empowers you to be the great person that you are is only you. It's not your professors, not in New York Tech, or not certain access to certain technologies. I've seen people come from very humble beginnings, have no access to all the luxuries that we take for granted. They do not have access to internet. They don't have access to information. They don't have access to food, clean water, and a decent life. But they still strive, and then they do amazing things. It's because they took charge of their life. They were not feeling bad. They were not having the sense of victimization. They did not, have self-pity. They were very confident. They knew they had everything to go for, and that life presented limitless opportunities and possibilities. And then that, because of that, they really did amazingly well. Things that we cannot do, these people who had nothing can do it effortlessly because every day they believed is a new opportunity, basically. Every day is a blessing and every day is a treasure, and you can actually make it count. And I would suggest, because you're all young people, you're the future of this world. So please make every day count. That's extremely important. Okay. So I cannot stop myself from telling you these things beyond just the big five. Forgive me for that, because art behavior is such a course where we share life experiences. Not necessarily we have always succeeded. The more I can share my failures, the better informed you are that you don't do the same mistakes. You could commit other mistakes, but don't make the same mistakes as your professor did. At least that I can help you with. And then openness to experience, guys. That's another thing that is very, very important in terms of where you can go and how much you can achieve. To me, the world is yours. You cannot simply confine yourself to United States or just North America, or confine yourself to Europe. No, the whole world is yours. Explore, be a traveler, be an adventurer. And the world has opportunities. Don't say I'm going to apply only in New York or only in the tri-state or only in the US. Explore. You never know where life takes you and what you might learn from that experience. The more you travel, the more you come out of your comfort zone. That is openness to experience. Come out of the comfort zone. Innovation is possible. Creative thinking is possible. Limitless possibilities are there for you to take because you're open to the experience and you take a bit more risk. You're all young. That's the fact that you can take a bit more risk than someone like me. I'm not going to be as willing to take that much risk. I'm going to give you 100 reasons. I'm married, I have kids, I have a family. I'll give you all kinds of reasons why I should not take the risk. But for you, no, you don't have reasons. You can travel. Going across the globe is very easy. Technology is available. Opportunities across the globe are available on your computer. Why not give it a shot? Opportunities to learn, opportunities to work, opportunities to explore and understand, appreciate other cultures and people around the world. Everything is exciting. In my way of looking at life, you don't confine yourself. You're a free person, like a bird. Explore. That's openness to experience. And I'm a big fan of the big five because I believe these are important things that we continuously ask ourselves. Have I got into that comfort zone? Am I believing that, I'm limiting my life experiences? It's not just about money, it's about life experiences. Money is incidental. Fame and name and position is incidental. They come your way, and you got to be happy and grateful and feel proud of yourself. But it's life experiences that you want. You should feel after 30 years, I lived my life really well. 70 years later, wow, this life was really worth it. Every day I made it count, and every day was equally exciting. Very few things that I can recall and say, I hated this experience. No, you loved those experiences. So please, guys, it's you take charge of your life, okay? Yeah, here are another. This is I'm not a big fan of this slide, and they say most important things, which are important for success, less important. I don't really like this slide, but I'll explain that. Persistence, they say, is important at work. Attention to detail is very important. Efficiency, analytical skills, setting high standards. This is a great thing. I mean, most important. We don't want to deny this, but less important. I think strong oral communication is extremely important. To me, teamwork is extremely important. Every great organization, building blocks of every great organization is teams. If you don't have great teams at the top management, for example, the strategy goes wrong, the vision goes wrong, implementation goes wrong. If you don't have teams who work, the sales team, for example, the customer relations team, How the hell are one person is going to do anything? So to me, teamwork is not less important. It's extremely important. Flexibility, adaptability. COVID hit us. Do you think flexibility and adaptability is less important? It's the most important thing, right?
Yeah.
Companies had to adapt. We had to adapt. Customers had to adapt. Who's not forced to adapt here? I think it's extremely important. Enthusiasm, I'm telling you, it's contagious. I think it's very important. Like Chris said, good morning, and in an enthusiastic way, it hit me hard. They cannot have one reason why I should be less enthusiastic today. Listening skills, very tough, and that's why they're very important. See, I'm speaking, so it's easy for me to speak. But I put myself in your place and listen to class after class after class. Trust me, guys, it's not easy. It's a lot of labor. You have to be attentive. Professors are boring, they're saying stupid stuff. And so continue to focus on that. Listening is such an important skill. And if you do a little research, Albert Mehrabian talks about listening skills having as much as 53% in terms of importance on the full gamut of communication skills. You take all the communication skills, he says you attribute success in communication, 53% goes to your ability to listen, actively listen. Listen not just passively, as if you have to listen, you just paid to listen. No, you're listening and you're able to contemplate. You're able to think and apply to situations. That's active listening. So listening skills extremely important. Albert Mehrabian, you just can a Google search. It'll say 53% of importance in communication skills goes to listening skills. So I don't see why this is less important. I don't know. It's there. And so I just thought of telling you that. This is an interesting slide, which I'll try and finish fast. These are the big five. On the left: emotional stability, extroversion, openness, agreeableness, conscientiousness. These are the big five. Why is it relevant? I think I've already explained that. And so I'm just going to read it out. Emotional stability, less negative talk and thinking, less hyper vigilant. You're not super sensitive. You're not overreacting. And how is it important at the workplace? Higher job and life satisfaction, lower stress levels. I'm a big fan of something called as the way the management world names certain concepts. Stress management. Have you heard of that topic?
I haven't.
I'm like baffled. Why do you have to manage stress? What do you manage generally? You manage your family, you manage your finances, you manage your assets, you manage your emotions. You manage those things, I understand, because they're important to you. Stress is not part of you. Why should you manage it? No, I'm just making a fun of the whole concept. I understand they'll teach you
Yeah.
meditation, they'll teach you exercise and go to a spa and calm it down, talk to others, breathe rhythmically. They'll teach you all those techniques. There's nothing bad about all of that. But I think stress is not part of my life. So I'll never ever go and attend a stress management session. Stress is not part of me. It's not in my DNA. It's not a part of something that I appreciate and I want to keep and manage and grow it. No, it's not part of my psychology. It's not part of my thinking process. I just don't want to take stress. I'm never stressed. I'm the other extreme person. I come from the Eastern philosophies, and I'm completely rooted into that. There's nothing. If people tell me today you're fired, I'm not stressed. I'm thinking I'll go straight up and look at what flights do I have to India from JFK. Yeah, I'll say thank you guys. I'm grateful. Great job. 13 years of time with NYT. I'm truly blessed. What a wonderful opportunity that you took me to Amman, and then you took me to Abu Dhabi, and then you brought me to New York. Why am I complaining? Why am I not grateful? And I'll think, how during the pandemic can I have an opportunity to say a proper goodbye to everybody? Probably those will be my concerns. How can I meet people? How can I say goodbye? Now, I have so many friends, in students, in faculty and staff. What a wonderful experience. I love New York. So, I'll miss all that, but that's fine. There's no stress in this. I have a country to go, and with my set of skills and knowledge, I'll find a job. So why am I stressed? I'm still alive. So why am I stressed? So stress is not part of my DNA. Yeah, so you can think about it that way. Let's see if you can work about it. I worked on it ever since I was a child. Unfortunately, had great teachers to teach me, so I owe it to them. Whatever I've done, little bit I've done in life, I completely owe it to my teachers in school, not in university, not in college, in my primary, middle, and high school. That is the formative years. They have such an impact on you, so I owe it to completely to them. So lowering stress, yeah, it's funny. We'll take it. Extroversion, your better interpersonal skills, you have social dominance, you're more emotionally expressive. I think that's what I learned in the US. When you talk to people in New York, very expressive, and then interpersonal skills great. I mean, I talk way much lesser than others. In class, I talk because I get paid for it. But in meetings, I don't talk as much. You'll see me quiet and I'll say one word somewhere in the corner. But this being extroverted, higher performance, enhanced leadership, higher job and life satisfaction. Yeah. Openness, increased learning, more creative, more flexible, autonomous, and you can go across the globe, dear, if you're open. Training, performance, enhanced leadership, more adaptable to change. I could fit in like a glove anywhere in the world. You could throw me any country, I'll adapt. That's what you should do because the world is yours. Who created these boundaries and called countries? It's not like they existed forever. We kept breaking them down, and we recreated our geographical boundaries, right? The whole world belongs to you. Agreeableness, you're better liked, more compliant and conforming, you're affable, so higher performance, of course, lower levels of deviant behavior. These are how it affects. So you're somebody who's accepted very well. Conscientiousness, greater effort and persistence. You have more drive because you feel more responsible. People trust you, you're better organized, and you plan better, and you put more effort to achieve as much. Again, higher performance, enhanced leadership, greater longevity. Oh, see, there you go. Suppose you survive in a company for 10 years, 12 years, 13 years, and you put it on your resume, it speaks volumes. It shows that people have trusted you, right? Why would they keep you for 10 years? I'm not saying it's the smartest decision to stay in a place for 10 years. Maybe you should have moved on and you would have made more money. But if people kept you for 10 years, that means they liked you, they trust you, and they know you're dependable. So, conscientiousness, that's where you say greater longevity. Okay. So, I think I'll stop here because this is a big chapter. I don't want to give you too much, it doesn't really help.